Hello.
Hey Dar, how's it going?
Well, I heard this song before.
Yeah, we just found it like really cool. I don't know, it's just like favorite song, and just been waking up with the same song and then having this energy all over throughout the day. But how are you keeping up?
It's good. It's good. It's different. It's like half irritating, half inspiring, half stressful, emotional. A lot of like different range of emotions at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I already introduced you guys to all of the followers out there that I've given a short description. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but as I was going through all your profile and stuff, like I was just making sure that I do my homework really well. Because we haven't met, we hadn't talked, but I was more interested to get things started on a positive note so that people should know, since it's a like photography platform and it's just like interesting to know. But yeah, if you
Yeah,
can introduce
I
yourself.
can tell you immediately like the first mistake is that I've done short films. I haven't done short films yet. Then another one is
Yeah,
I'm from UK. I'm not from UK. It's clear from my accent. Then what else is there? That I was an actor. Yeah, I mean I was an actor, a theater actor, but
yeah,
along with like with different things.
yeah.
Then what else? Um, a lot of different stuff. That I
Yeah.
work for Jugaad Motion Pictures, which is also true.
Uh, I'll tell you what I did my research. I'll just gonna introduce. So, Dar is a director, producer, and a writer. From the age of 10, Dar was a part of known Ukrainian theater group Incunabula. Did I sound correct?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So, from a theater actor, art curator in Ukraine, to drama teacher in Gwalior, to a film lecturer in Mumbai, and to a writer and director now.
Amazing. That's actually perfect. I think it's the best till now.
Yeah. I'm glad. Yeah, I just woke up at 6 o'clock just to make sure that I study everything. But I'm glad and happy to have you on platform.
Actually, we had a couple of moments when just like random people were dropping by our office in Jugaad. He's like,
Yeah,
I really want to work with you. I really want to work with Jugaad. Love
yeah,
your short films. I'm like, where did you see short films? And he's like, yeah, just a really cool one. And I'm like, so which one? He's like, 3.5 Namdebab. And at this moment, that the person doesn't do the homework.
yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I
He's
know.
like,
It's
but
just
you want to work with.
very interesting that I mean there are people who were. I mean, we received like 76 messages, like the questions for to have from you, and obviously we cannot take all the questions, but we were excited. While I was going through all the questions, I was jotting down the top favorite, and it was so hard for me and Anurag, the founder. But again, we have to drop out and like, oh shit, this is so cool, and we're having someone like to start this.
Standing of cinema. I remember when we premiered 3.5 in Kerala Film Festival. There was a like rickshaw driver who was discussing Fellini with us, and he watched all Fellini films, and just their understanding of the craft is very deep. So, and again, you can write such a interesting dialogues, playing around with the words, with intonations. So I really want to do it. I think it in general. I would say like regions, they have much more unpolished stories,
Yeah,
which artists can just find and talk about it and just discover. Yeah, it's definitely unexplored area. Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so what's your method for blocking scenes and capturing them on camera?
Mm. It also depends on it depends on the overall atmosphere that I want to create in the film. Like for example, with 3.5, let's say, because it was the story that is being told by the walls. So
Yeah,
the walls never look away, never sleep, never close their eyes. So they need to be present. So because of
yeah,
that, I wanted that like floating experience of almost like third person next to you, which you don't
yeah,
see. With Namdebal, I wanted mostly just static frames, which for me was represented his static, his stubbornness in his head. I want to go to find silence, and he's not a very intellectual character. He doesn't understand what's happening with him. He is not aware of it.
yeah.
And for me, these static frames, a lot of wide shots, a lot of also close-ups, were representing that, on the one hand, alienation, and at the same time, not able to understand what's happening inside him. Then, so it depends on what narrative we are taking and what kind of emotions we want to create in them, like cold mass. Everything is handheld because we're dealing with the fleeting feeling of being in love or being in, like hate and love and toxicity. So you want just to be there all the time and tensed and just following the camera, just following them into the extreme close-ups of their kisses because it's intense. Or you're going really, really wide and observing them in isolation and comparative to the city, for example.
Yeah.
So it always depends on the narrative. And then once you figure out the narrative, you read the script, you understand what kind of emotions it provokes with you, you do the shot breakdown. I discuss the shot breakdown with my cinematographer. Like with Aditya, we always, for example, sit long hours discussing the style. Dir has a very particular aesthetical sense. I would say both of them, they are always teaming up against me because I don't care about aesthetics. I just want emotions to come out. But then I think this combination of like three of us gives us interesting take on the stories, combining both aesthetics and emotions. So yeah.
That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just thinking of one of your behind the scene videos, and I can correlate. I mean, that was one video where I got just inspired just to see your. I think Vedika Pinto was there in the video, and then while you were just throwing in the energy and the passion, and then just like, okay, this is the pose I want, and this is the action I want. So I remember, and then and then the hug, like you guys were like hugging at the end of the video, and then that just shows like a team effort, and plus, like you mentioned, that you get three different perspectives, but at the end you just like get together on the same part. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is, how important is storyboard to you?
I think it depends how complicated the project is. Like for Hold Tight, we had to do storyboarding because it was a music video with cloning. So I want to see how the clones will look and how should we place the camera. So I needed to imagine it visually. I needed to deliver to my cinematographer so that he will understand what exactly I have in the mind. I mean, it's a great tool to communicate when you're not. When you can't express it through the words, and especially it's amazing when you're working with someone new. Like with Aditya, I know him, for example, for the last I think 5 years. 5 years. So we speak the same language because we spend so much time together. But once you start working with someone new, he can't read your mind. So you want to show exactly the frame that you want to, communicate to the audience. So yeah, I mean, if you have time, it's a great. I would say the most important thing, if you can just find time for, locking good script, locking good shot breakdown, doing storyboard, and then going into production. Of course, it's a perfect way.
Interesting. We just got another quick question. I think someone said, what do you think about using colors to set mood of a film?
Yeah, of course, that's also very important because the color is as much as dialogues as your script telling the stories, right? And it just helps you to create the atmosphere. Like Cold Mass, for us, it was very important to go with pastels, very natural film look, just to capture something that all of us were going through in this big city.
Yeah.
But then you will create something stylistic. For example, for Netflix ad for Valentine's Day this year, we want to go with something slightly over the top, which is slightly bigger than life, larger than life treatment, because the story was large. The story was slightly comical. So you wanted to underline the comicism with your color. So it is very important.
Interesting. Okay.
I would say each and every color in the frame is important. Whatever, once you create it, that's when your collaboration with your production designer is just so important. And if you haven't found one, you just need to become your own production designer and understanding what's the science between the color behind the colors. Different colors, they cause different moods, and they have different language code, different understanding. You need to learn all that if you don't have it, let's say, naturally or by intuition.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. So about your Insta handle, what does Molfarness means?
Molfarness. So Molfa is a magical object which gives you power if you are magical yourself. And Molfarnes is the person who owns Molfa. But he can be Molfarnes only if he found Molfa in which he believes.
Interesting. That's deep. That's deep. So it just took me 5 seconds, but no, I trying. Okay. Interesting. So, okay, what is your inspiration to pursue filmmaking?
Inspiration to pursue filmmaking. Oh, I don't know. Maybe like it just allows you to be dictator.
Yeah.
It's better to do that than to go into politics. It just gives you ability to explore your voice, to tell the stories, to understand what kind of stories you want to tell and how you want to tell them. I know, and sometimes you just don't have another choice. It just happens. It's just like a snowball.
Okay. Interesting. So now, keeping questions aside for a second, this is a situation. Let's say if you're traveling somewhere, whether it's a plane or a train, and then you came up with an idea about, oh, look, this is something I would like to work on. So let's say if you have an idea, and if you'd like to take it further to the next step, what's that next step, and how will you proceed, and how will you take things?
I think the first thing is just like it's write it down, and you need to organize yourself. You need to force yourself to write it down, because we have so many situations when I was telling Dean, oh, I have this idea, I have that idea, I have this idea. He always tells me just like write it down, because at that moment after you think that you will ever forget about this idea, because it's so ingrained in you, and it's so interesting, so unusual. 2 weeks from that day on, you just forgot about it. So as soon as you come up with the idea, you need to write it down. You need to write down all the associations that you have with it. And ideally, if you can just look back next day to it and just understand what you found so interesting, and then just start developing it, understanding what kind of format is it? Is it a music video? Is it a song? Is it a feature film? Is it a web series? Who's the protagonist? I usually write when I have beginning and end. I usually kind of know how it starts and how it will end. So I have a frame, how you do the puzzle, you first creating the frame, and then you have to fill it up. You understand, you try to imagine yourself as that character, and then you're sitting and you're just writing. And you're following the character wherever he goes, because subconsciously he needs to reach that last Y or Z point.
Correct. Speaking of the imagination, with the Namdev, I remember when you were making 3.5, then you instantly thought, okay, I need to work on Namdev. You got the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then
so we're doing, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So we were working on post-production of 3.5, and we went to, outside of Bombay, and it was like a very small team, and we actually were shooting the video for crowdsourcing campaign for 3.5.
Yeah.
And then we were complaining to each other about the sounds, and we said, what if there is this man he's a driver, and he's running away from sounds, how all of us were running away from time to time in Bombay, because if you don't leave Bombay at least once in 3 months, you will just go mad. And so this man, he'll say, goes to mountains to find silence. That's because he hasn't ever experienced silence in his life ever. So we found it so fascinating. And then we were, like young, stupid, and naive. And you're like, so you have here in this team right now, you have director, you have producer, you have associate director, you have editor, you have sound designer, and you have cinematographer. Let's just shoot it.
Yeah.
And so we thought that we can just do it in complete zero budget. We have very less time for me to write the script, but I wrote the script. We found someone who came as a partner. And then we decided to shoot it in Spiti Valley.
That's great.
And we looked it, everything was happening, and it was, of course, stupid just to rush into the shoot so fast. And then we got news that it was some type of avalanche or something like that in Spiti Valley. We couldn't go there. And we're like, what to do? We need to go somewhere where it's not raining, because it was monsoon time in India at the point of time. So we realized the only place is Ladakh. So, and we went to Ladakh. And I remember I was writing script about Spiti. I researched it so well. I knew each and every place in Spiti by that time, just, like Google whatever, Earth. And we're reaching Ladakh, and everyone is like, oh wow, because it does look like heaven on earth. It's not even heaven on earth, like weird heaven on earth, like Mars.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh wow. And I was so grumpy and so irritated. I'm like, what is it? What are these stones? Where will I see this scene? So 3 days we were just like traveling around. And I was so angry because I was still living in my script, which was based in Spiti. So, and once Deed just came up to me and he said, listen, you have real beauty around it. Just open your eyes, see it, and adapt your story to this space, because this space deserves to be seen, deserves to be loved.
Sure.
And I felt so guilty about it. And I realized that it's true. It doesn't matter where you're going to find silence. You're just searching for it.
Sure.
So, and then we start finding the right places.
That's good. But just 7 of you. I mean, I'm surprised and happy to know that I've read online that there's a lot of people, like 30, 40 people, team of 30 or 40 people usually go and they have an idea of the movie and the production, like everything. But 7 of you went, and how did you cope up? Like, was it difficult? Was it easy? And then just share the experience, because that seems like interesting to me. It's like the motivation behind the idea it's right there.
It wasn't just difficult. It was like almost impossible to do. Like, it was just starting from, first of all, it's a high altitude.
Yeah.
You have 65 years old actor, and then you have a kid who is 12 years old, and you're in the middle of nowhere. You have a small crew. You're living in some weird guest house with weird food, by the way. And every morning you're waking up 5 o'clock in the morning just to capture that right sun. And in the morning it's so cold that we have to put like layers.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon it's so hot that we have to remove everything, and you can't breathe properly because it's a high altitude.
Sure.
Then you are having issues with your people who are, let's say, involved in the production, as a line producers there, because you have a particular way how you want to see the film. And so and a lot of people who were working with me, let's say my chief AD was doing it for the first time in his life as chiefing. He has never done before, and I'm very demanding. So poor Yash, he was suffering along with me on that. At the same time, you have Namdebao, who hasn't ever acted in his life. Forget that, he hasn't ever left Bombay in his life. So, and for him, everything was for the first time. And we had to, even there, because we didn't have much time in Bombay, we had to take a lot of rehearsals in Ladakh. And then you have to find the place to shoot. So you are doing rec in the morning, and then you are doing scene in the evening.
Correct.
And of course, weather changes, everything changes. You're doing a guerrilla shoot, so you don't have permissions to do that. So every day it was like a crazy adventure.
Yeah, I can imagine. But it sounds more like, now it seems like a good way to remember that it's already out. And I would love to see. I would be the first one going. Whatever platform you'll ask me to, I'll be seeing. Watching the video is just like, again, it's just not a video, or it's not a movie for me. It's more emotions. It's more about the person. It's more about how you know that he was not an actor, and now how he performed. And trust me, I mean, while I was watching the video, the trailer, it didn't look like, for me, when I saw the video, it was like so natural. Like how the kid usually force him to speak, and then he usually give a weird face, and then suddenly keeps on moving and stuff. It just, I mean, for me, it's just like a pleasure to watch. So when it's out, like, we have no idea what are the dates we're looking for.
It's still traveling the festivals, and I think the issue is with a lot of international platforms which came to India, that they're the way how they select the films are very tricky and weird, as I mean, you can see, guys, yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put it on the platform which doesn't appreciate filmmaker and doesn't understand what they are doing for filmmaking. So I will rather wait and find the right platform with people who knows what they are doing and who have strategy for the next 5 years, instead of just like dumping the film and it will be just lost among hundreds of other films. So yes, I do feel sad that people are not able to see it yet, but I think the right time will come, and we will find the audience which are waiting for the film. to be released, but I just don't want to compromise on the platform.
That's great.
Because it is a tricky time, you know, for filmmakers as well, though we have so many platforms, but we don't know whether our film will be appreciated on those platforms.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, again, like you mentioned, whether you ask like an audience, it's just like a different feeling. But as you produce and you direct film is very different. So like for me as an audience, it's like more keen. Okay, what's next? What's next? And what's next? This is like a happy feeling. But I can definitely agree on part that we need to be appreciated. We need to take it easy, and then when things are fine, then you.
I think because we have already had the experience with 3.5, we rushed to do it. We have 3.5 is already on Netflix. With Nam De Bao, we wanted to take a slightly slower approach because unfortunately, most of these platforms, they realize that filmmaker is kind of trapped. Is either you're a Bollywood film and you're releasing in theaters, or you are you know, shit Bollywood film and then you're releasing on platforms, or you will just accept any deal from the platform, and because you don't have another choice. I don't think that we are in the situation that we have just to take any offers. I think as a filmmakers also we can respect ourselves and we can just wait for the right people, for the right platform to be released on, I guess.
That's
but let's see, maybe cut to in next 2 weeks you will see Nam De Bao and some like weird new platform.
No, but great. So
that's the thing about filmmakers, you know, like they talk so much like, oh, you know, oh wow, I just love reading, and then you see that the person is just like checking Instagram for the last 2 weeks. I haven't even opened the book, or it's like, yeah, I just, you know, I never will go on the set without rehearsing with the actors. Cut to not even one rehearsal with those actors. So they always lie. We always lie because we, you know, we try to fool ourselves because we hope that it will happen, but then the life forces you, and then you just have to accept your lies and just do the opposite from what you want.
That's good. That's great. But how do you segregate yourself? Like when I say that music videos and film, do you think it's easy to film to music? Like obviously both the result we've seen is great, but I just wanted to ask from your perspective.
I don't think it's difficult. Dear, my producer, he thinks it's very difficult. He thinks that I have to concentrate on one thing at a time. If I want to do a feature film, just do the bloody feature film. If you want to do a music video, just do music videos. I'm still experimenting. I'm still trying to combine both because I do love all these formats. I love producing. I want to supervise, let's say, new writers. I want to supervise new directors. I want to write my own feature film. I want to write my own feature film. I want to collaborate with new script writers. I would love to direct someone else's script if it's something that I can relate to and if it's good. And so it is very difficult to organize it in this way, but I just love, you know, like shuffling around, like just trying different things, because once you are committed to something, it can be very useful. I think for me, I enjoy when you have different types of art forms that you can be involved in. And it's kind of also you're putting eggs in different baskets, but you actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if you enjoy certain things, then it's just like a pleasure to work on. I mean, people ask me what kind of photographer I am, and they have been asking me for the last 7 years. And first, early when I started, it was really hard for me to accept. Okay, I need to choose. But when I started exploring all the fields, now I do almost every kind of photography, like every kind of field. So I take pictures for events, for weddings, and then sports, architecture, and then product photography. I don't know. I enjoy it. Like I usually when I go before any shoot, I usually try and study, because once you put your heart and soul about the things you're going to do the next day, if you're well prepared, if you know that you're confident enough, the basics, the things, then it just adds up. So, but yeah, I totally.
Yeah, I think it's also a kind of a sin of our generation, of like Instagram generation, that we think we have just to choose only one thing. It's like, oh, if I just.
Hey guys, really sorry. I think we just ended the 1 hour session with Dar, but we quickly gonna add her again and then continue for the next few minutes. And just a second, I'm just gonna see if she's online. Dar. Let's see. Yeah, she's right there. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we just finished like 1 hour thing, but I'm really sorry. Yes, continue, please.
What am I saying?
It was such an interesting night. Then I didn't feel like it was like 1 hour session. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
me
nice.
too, right?
Right. But he was saying something. I'm really sorry.
What I was saying, what else was I
About the different art form, that how
Yes,
different.
yes, yeah, absolutely. So like nowadays in our Instagram, we're always like all the influencers, like they suggest that you have to choose your style and your color correction, and just if you want to shoot architecture, shoot only roofs, or shoot only glasses, write only about the books. And as a filmmaker, do if you are successful, let's say in music videos, do only music videos. I don't
During the quarantine period, that what all things we can do, what all activities we can do, like you mentioned the books, like you can study the direction of people and then understand and how they used to face problem and still they won the platform, and it's just like a good feeling to know that how we all can open up and then do something which we believe
Yeah.
in.
But at the
So
same time, I think also we need to remember that this quarantine time is difficult time. Even subconsciously, it you know pushes us in a certain corner. So we should be also
yeah,
easy on ourselves. If during this time we're not writing another script or we're not creating another short film, it's not a sin. It's fine. We should just come out of it not as with the script, but with the gray hair, but actually with more or less, I guess, happiness and balance in us, because once we are balanced, it's just much easier to create anything, because then you'll be able to be happy while you create it. And
yeah.
the artist always has a choice whether you want to be a suffering artist or you want to be a, happy and sort out artist.
Interesting. But speaking of that, how to keep the balance, like obviously you work, you come up with different ideas, come up with different visualization, different things, then how do you keep the balance? What activities do you do other than what the direction part or the writing part?
Mm, I think very important to continue meeting different people, even people who you don't like. You just need to meet people. Whether you're introvert, you're extrovert, just other people gives you so many new ideas and they ground you. They um you under and when you see, for example, others people work, you understand you're just nothing, you're just so bad. And even that realization is good, because you'll be able hopefully to grow, to understand whom you're competing with. Because the issue is like when your circle is very narrow, you think that, oh, you're a great filmmaker, but maybe you're just great filmmaker in comparative to. But then when you see other work, you're like, oh my god, people should ever see anything I have ever done in my life. So because it's always, you're always comparing yourself with other people, and I do think it's a healthy competition. So we need to remind ourselves that there are so many great people exist around, and we need to try to be as good in terms of your craft, because of course stories are different. You can't compare yourself to other storytellers, but you can polish your craft, and this craft is polishing of the craft is possible with two things: with hard work, with self-control, with self-education, like reading, listening to good music, having good discussions with right people. And that's something will take care of your future films and scripts and ideas.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. That's great. That's good. I usually watch Pokemon, so sometimes sometimes it just helps me to just stay calm and just be like a kid again, all over again. Just to watch, like, just doing nothing and just like throwing around and keep on acting as if I'm throwing something. But yeah, it's interesting. So again, it's when in your early days when you started, when you know that okay, starting things and all. How did you convince your first client to pay for your creativity?
When was the first time?
That you asked your client for money. That okay, this is what I deserve. This is the work I'm doing.
It never happened. Um, it when was the first time for the client? I
Yeah.
remember actually the first thing I have earned was something like $50 for a theater play when I was 12 years old. And that went for my traveling, from my home and back, and that was like for 2 weeks of work. That was
That's
my
great.
first ever earning. And oh, of course, at the beginning it was very difficult because with drama comedy, like love drama comedy. And
That's great.
I, sometimes I do think what I'm doing and why I'm doing this, and what can I do for people who don't have what I have, and as a filmmaker, how can I contribute? And on the one hand, I don't consider myself as a political, for example, filmmaker,
Sure.
as a, I guess, just genre as a theme as of now. So, and you kind of constantly feel guilty, and I think it is important to realize and just to separate yourself from that, understand what can you do the best in your own
Yeah.
field right now.
Sure.
Because I do think like when you're doing something good, even if it's a small thing, even if it's, I guess, I don't know, Ligi or Sage or Cold Mess, you can inspire people. Yes, you can't save them from starvation, but maybe at least something can be, better for that particular second when they watch the video. And it is, again, a privileged thought to have. So it is tricky, I would say, for all of us, for just creative people who are not saving lives, on the barricades. It's always a question what to do and how, I guess, to help. So that's hanging on you. At the same
Sure.
time, it's just sometimes difficult to organize yourself into, having day, because once you finished your cleaning the flat and cooking food, it's already 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
And then you have to write. So it is, I guess, it's difficult, but at the same time, it's a good experiment how we will come out of it, and
Yeah.
how much will be changed. I do think the world will be different after lockdown, because we are introspecting so much right now. And once we will be out there in the world, I hope we will be taking that introspection out there, and
Sure.
we will be changing at least something.
Sure.
I don't know.
Of things planned and all. Since obviously now it's recommended that we should not do that. And do you think it's just gonna be more for the few months or stuff? I mean, we're not experts, obviously, but we know that some way we'll take precautions to go out and take that, not leverage to just go out and just do as we used to, but also on the back end we'll think that okay, whether we should do this or not.
Okay, can you just repeat the question?
Yeah, I was saying that obviously under the lockdown, we know that we're not expert to tell what's going to happen in 3 months or 4 months. But I had suggested, according to reports coming out from BBC and all that, okay, for a lot of people who activity involves a lot of people, would it be easy for like this? I'm a photographer. If we go out, or you're as a director, you go out, you meet a lot of people. Obviously, we're going to maintain the distance, or whether we should go out or not, or whether we should stay at home or do other things what we want to do. So, do you think that way it will be affected, or do you think you still be more open to go out?
No, I do think it will be affected. I think even our lifestyle will be affected. The way how we interact, even in 6 months, once everything will be open, because
Yeah,
there's just like so many different reports saying that it's not the first, it's not the last, and the way how we are just taking care of our environment,
sure.
environment will shoot back, and so I guess it's a good lesson for us, and a good exercise to practice, to realize what's important for us, whom we are staying with, are we comfortable with people whom we're leaving, or whom we chose as our, I don't know, significant others, or whether we are good in our solitude, staying with ourselves, and if
Sure.
not, why. So it's that time for introspection, and because I really don't think that it will be completely open soon. What we heard, for example, with our industry, that no shoots would start, most probably, again, as a rumor,
Yeah,
before September. And like I, for example, I had a shoot. I supposed to go to Sri Lanka
yeah,
in April or March.
yeah.
It was already March, right? March or April? March.
9th March. I think
Yes,
one of
yes.
your team
So
and Aditya and all.
yes, so I supposed to go on 21st March for a big film, and it didn't happen. It got pushed, of course, because lockdown was announced. So now it's not clear because we don't know about the actors' date, so everything just will depend on that. At the same time, our projects, some of them were pushed. Of course, we're utilizing this time just to develop and to write scripts. We are right now struggling more between the choice whether we should go for, I would say, like lockdown content.
Sure.
So we should be shot here and now, scripts which are basically just how you and me talk. Or we should just concentrate on developing scripts which we can shoot after the lockdown is open. So it's tricky. I would say all of us, we are hanging and we don't know what will happen next, because at the same time we realize that even we have certain responsibilities for our projects, because a lot of people depends on that. A lot of, like daily wage workers depend on us as well, like sport, voice lightmen, etc., etc. So we do need to make a plan how to, I guess, survive.
Sure. Interesting. Perfect. I got the answer. So we're going to take the next one. So are you still working from home? If yes, then what exactly are you working on? And can you tell all the artists that how they can utilize this time?
Yeah, I'll show you. I like all these. I'm working from home. You see this?
That's great.
It's a breakdown of the script, which I'm trying to write for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It is tricky again because you don't have that much of like quality time. From time to time, you have to go out. You have to, do something. I was lucky because I'm staying with Dir, and we also got Supreet, who's staying with us and who is working in another room. So we are trying to be productive. I think if Supreet wouldn't have been here, Dir and me, it would be slightly difficult for us to organize each other, maybe. Yeah. So we're trying to keep those like professional hours, but it is tough. It is tough also because you have, let's say, 10 people in your team, in Jugaad team, who's also working from home remotely. Some of them staying alone, some of them staying with their family, and they have their own responsibilities. So it's tricky to control everyone and to be productive, because I would say even agencies, they can't figure out the future plan. So even if we come up with the interesting ideas for like ads, let's say, or some music videos, they're not taking any decisions how they want their business to be developed. So they're just like waiting to see what will happen. So, and you unfortunately kind of depend on them.
Correct. Yeah, it's interesting.
So so trying to work, trying to exercise. I think this is also what keeps you sane. Reading. We start watching a lot of interviews, like round table Hollywood directors, which is also sometimes very inspiring and depressing at the same time.
Interesting. What are you like? Do you read? I mean, a lot of people are asking the books around the back of the like. What are those books? Like, what's your favorite book?
Oh, I think I keep saying it will be interesting idea just like to write list of different books which I'm getting inspired by. Right now, I'm reading Nabokov, which is just genius of prose. This is also an incredible book, very inspiring. It's Letters to Eve, about Yves Saint Laurent. Deep focus that you should try. Then another incredible book. I always say that I love Marcus, I love Kafka, and I love Milan Kundera. So these people, they're just like kind of keeping you sane. And recently, yesterday, I was sharing with someone about my favorite autobiography, which is by Fellini, and My Last Sigh by Buñuel. Yeah. Which is also very inspiring.
Interesting.
So
keep the. I mean, probably the best part is that you just keep starting taking inspiration from the authors that you admire, and then just keep reading. Interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes you think, you're going through such a tricky period of your life, but then you just look at Fellini, who was trying to make films after Second World War. So it is tricky. How will you survive as an artist? So, or you just look at Buñuel, who was thrown out of his own country and was not allowed to make films because he was against, the government. So it's always difficult. You're just choosing what kind of stories you will tell, and if you want to tell the stories wherever you are, in however terrible conditions you always will be creating something.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take. Perfect. So we have been flooded with more questions now, and I'm gonna get things started. How to become a better storyteller?
Mm, I I'm trying to find the answer to those questions. Um, I I really want to go to be a good storyteller. I think I think I can just share what I'm trying to do is again, as always, I'm saying just reading books. There's no way how you can tell any stories without reading books. I mean, otherwise, what kind of stories you will tell? Then, of course, listening to people and actually listening to people. I found the problem of like our generation that we don't listen. We are waiting for another person to finish, and so that you can just it's like yeah, but you know what? But what about just to forget about your like ego involvement, to forget about what you want to say or how you want to present yourself, actually completely like dissolve yourself in another person. Just try to understand what he feels or what she feels, what he thinks right now, what he's afraid of. And then once you go into his head, that's its entire universe. Like if you will just like spend like 20 minutes with your watchman, he will tell you so many stories that you can make 20 different feature films and web series. It's just I think about listening and noticing the details and being inspired about those details. Nowadays we are in lockdown and yet you have your flat, you have people whom you're staying with, or if you're staying alone, you can just like observe things around, or you can start remembering about your childhood, like your childhood memories, about the smells that you remember when you were like 5 years old and you were with your grandmother, or you were passing an old school and there was like a garbage place, but you still remember that particular smell of garbage, and it will inspire you to tell the stories. So definitely in each and every detail there is an interesting story because there is an emotion. So we need to start learning how to be empathetic. I would say as a storyteller, you can't be a storyteller if you don't feel other people's pain or happiness, the joy. You need to be able, like, I don't know, like a mirror, just to mirror it, and at the same time to feel it and to put it on the page. It's like they say the best way to, let's say, overcome breakup or overcome any fears is just to put those stories on the paper and just to write about it.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, while I was in Madrid, that it happened with me as well, and it was really difficult for me as an artist to express myself. But I understood living with people and having the exposure of having Europeans around me, and the feeling of the emotion and feeling of acceptance and feeling of just to express through the mode of my art. Let's say I'm a photographer. It was difficult, but again, I understood, and now it's been 3 years, and I can feel that how important the emotions plays in the same part. So
how is it for you? The lockdown.
Can you come again? Can you come again?
How is it for you, the lockdown?
It's great. To be very honest, I mean, I'm loving my time because, again, as you said, that you can spend time with your parents and spend time with your family. So I spend time with my parents. We all came from Pakistan. And so how we came from Pakistan, what language we used to speak. So we started speaking Urdu. And then how we converted from the language Urdu to Punjabi and Punjabi to Hindi. So I kept on asking these questions to my parents, my grandparents, and just to know why do we speak Hindi right now? And then I created a photo story just on my parents, as to have all those old poses, like the poses from the pictures which I saw, spend time taking a look at the pictures. And that was one part. And then one day I was like, okay, let's go on the top floor and then just experience that the birds, what time usually the crow comes and what time usually the eagle comes, and how do they play around and stuff, and create a photo story on that part. And then I started studying more. Like I love to study like as much as I can. So I've studied in the stock market. Like I've been like interest, like the passion to understand the whole formula, the stuff. So
oh wow, the numbers.
Yeah, so I love numbers, and then again, it's just something that I'm trying to fool myself. Like I've understood that your mind tell you this is the cause, this is the problem, but if you can fool your mind within 3 seconds, then you win the race rather than the mind. So when we see and hear the negative vibes around, we'll be like, oh no, let's not do this, or let's not do that. But if you fool your mind before that, you win the race. So I usually try and keep on saying, meditating and all, and just keep on pushing that, okay, if I can do this, then this is my time. Like I can explore as much as I can.
Oh wow. Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a great combination.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that we do it. But no, let's have just a second question for you. All right. So, how do you find your niche in filmmaking?
Mm, I don't think you can ever find it. You have to carve it.
Yeah.
Um, and just there is no way that people will, some industry will like how you can, find that niche in your feature film, and then
Yeah.
you'll find it's already ready. And but at the same time, it's not like, you found it and you're always there. No, you found it, and unfortunately, next morning you're waking up and there is just so much dust that there's no niche anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a flat surface. And then you start again carving it, and you are releasing, let's say, another music video, and people love it, and you're like, yeah, I'm in the niche again. And then next morning there is I don't know, flow of water, and it's just filled with water, and again you have to find another niche. So you're always suffering. I would say you never can be completely also confident in your abilities. Like I question each and every time when I sit down and write something. I
Yeah.
question when I actually can be a writer, or when I'm on this head, when I actually can direct. So
Yeah.
it always, each and every time, it question is in my head, and I don't think that it will ever disappear. Even
Yeah.
after making 10 great films, you can fail. And in 11th film, you will doubt yourself. You will get a lot of criticism for it. But I don't think that that's a measure of our success or of what we want to do in life. I
Yeah.
don't think that our idea is also just like keep making those niches. I think we just need to make films, and if some of them will find audience, great, it's amazing. It's very comfortable to be in the niche. But if you will not be able to do it, it's also fine. You have created something.
Yeah.
Because I think also you need to figure out why you're doing it. Are you doing it for, to have that award, or you are doing it for yourself because it's the only way how you can discover yourself right now? So I think for me right now, it is a discovery space. Filmmaking gives me a moment just to know myself better, to understand what I'm afraid of, to understand what I want, to understand my audience. So it's just a tool, understanding and just comprehending the world.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I read one of your interviews where you mentioned that how Namdev, he went to the festival, the film festival, and you saw him walking down the aisle, and then that's what make you felt, okay, this is the real
Yeah,
happiness. That's what I
yeah.
work for. I mean, like you also mentioned that you won several awards, you've created the movie, and you might create more movies, and you have more awards and stuff. But to make an impression in someone's life, I mean, that touched me, to be very honest. I was so fascinated to see someone to be more so closely making sure that how he or she can make an impact in someone's life.
Because honestly, it is true. Like I remember when we just made 3.5, my just dream was to be selected to the festivals because we didn't know anyone. We were just like sending mails to all the programmers, almost like begging them to defer the payment for the entrance of the film. And we didn't know how it will go, whether it will be ever accepted. And it was accepted. You're like, okay, okay, amazing. But you were like, yeah, but it wasn't accepted for that festival. And like, I really want to go, well, let's say Palm Springs or BFI, and you just like dream about those festivals. And then with 3.5, it went to 50 festivals, and it got us around 20 awards. And then some point of time, you're just like reading in the email, you're like, yeah, okay, award. So you don't feel anything at that moment. But then I remember when we went to Goa for Namdebab, the entire team was there, and I just felt so much happiness there. Or for uh, for Namdebab, when Namdebab and Arya, who is the also lead in Namdebab in the film,
Yeah.
we went to BFI to London, and we were just like walking around. We took Namdev to different museums, and just being with him there, and yeah, seeing him walking on the red carpet when like all these stars walking by, Keira Knightley, and this is what you feel happiness. And when he just like eats food on in the on the balcony and just like overlooking the London, that's for me what beauty is. And I don't have right now ability to change his life completely or my
Sure.
life, but just to give those sparks of weird, unique, sweet experiences. This is all we can do, and this is actually what gives you real happiness. Like, I remember when we went with Namdeba, we went to BFI, we went to Palm Springs, but you actually don't feel anything. But in Palm Springs, we had an additional screening which was asked by the audience, by the senior citizens, and it was like senior citizens above 65, so from 65 to like 90, and they watched Namdeba, and like some of them cried, and they had the long discussion with me, and that moment again gave me such a just deep happiness. And then I knew that whether film will fail or not, whether it will get awards or not, it's just those moments give you just, I guess, some value.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I admire that. I mean, while I was reading, I was making notes and stuff. It was so fascinating to know that you can ask these questions from someone and you can feel it. Like, this is so much emotion stuff. And speaking of emotions, I've created a rapid fire round for you just to add like a something different from a lot of interviews we usually take. So it was interesting. So I'm going to give you one word and you have to tell me whatever comes on your mind. The first thing. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Movie.
Movie, Glass.
Theater.
Inspiration.
Collaboration.
Deep hole.
Team.
Like traveling on air, like traveling on the clouds.
All right. Happiness.
The fall, the free fall.
Interesting. Writing.
Happy suffering.
Storyboard.
Freedom in the prison.
Detailing.
Multi-universes.
Whistling woods.
Pose.
Challenges.
Discoveries.
Family.
Shelter.
Backup.
Like the end of infinity.
Namdeba.
I don't know, like cozy, mischievous soldier.
The outgoing introvert.
The outgoing introvert. It's like freezing under the sun in the AC.
Interesting. 37 days.
37 days. Script.
I thought I would expect the answer that you came. You became friends with Namdev in 37 days.
Script.
Well, interesting. I like it. I love it. It was so great to know the reaction, and then the answers were like quite unexpected. I'm really happy. So, but yeah, we have a lot of questions more, and to add more, this another one. It's a really interesting one. What's your take on regional cinema? Are you planning to direct one?
Oh, I love regional cinema. Namdeba, the first half was in Marathi, and it's actually it's my favorite part. And what I really looking forward to do, I really want to make a South Indian film, because I feel just like it has so much texture in their languages, and so much freedom in expression, and the audience is so deep in understanding of cinema. I remember when we premiered 3.5 in Kerala Film Festival, there was a rickshaw driver who was discussing Fellini with us, and he watched all Fellini films. And just their understanding of the craft is very deep. So, and again, you can write such a interesting dialogues, playing around with the words, with intonations. So I really want to do it. I think it in general, I would say like regions, they have much more unpolished stories,
Yeah.
which artists can just find and talk about it and just discover. Yeah, it's definitely unexplored area. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So what's your method for blocking scenes and capturing them on camera?
It also depends on it depends on the overall atmosphere that I want to create in the film. Like for example, with 3.5, let's say, because it was the story that is being told by the walls. So
Yeah.
the wolves never look away, never sleep, never close their eyes. So they need to be present. So because of that, I wanted that like floating experience of almost like third person next to you, which you don't see. With Namdebal, I wanted mostly just static frames, which for me was represented his static, his stubbornness in his head. I want to go to find silence, and he's not a very intellectual character. He doesn't understand what's happening with him. He is not aware of it.
Yeah.
And for me, these static frames, a lot of wide shots, a lot of also close-ups were representing that, on the one hand, alienation, and at the same time, not able to understand what's happening inside him. Then, so it depends on what narrative we are taking and what kind of emotions we want to create in them, like Cold Mass. Everything is handheld because we're dealing with the fleeting feeling of being in love or being in like hate and love and toxicity. So you want just to be there all the time and tensed and just following the camera, just following them into the extreme close-ups of their kisses, because it's intense. It's or you're going really scripts that I was writing for other people because it was for me the only way to pay, but I was using that time just to polish my scripts and polish my skills for dialogues. And so everything is useful. Everything is useful. Each and every rejection you have in your life, each and every firing that you will get in your life, it goes into your experience and it makes you a better filmmaker. Always. More breakups you have, more people shout at you, more people fire you, more family disown you, family members. It's great, it's a great way to become a good filmmaker. Less friends you have, also great thing. More people think that you just, you abandon them. Again, a good sign that you are becoming a filmmaker.
Yeah, I can correlate. Yeah, just thinking that how things were. Yeah, it's interesting because when you the things you're speaking about, you're talking and all, I keep on thinking of the kind of things happening with me as well. So I can correlate in the back of my mind. It's an interesting thought. But yeah, we already crossed 1 hour thing. But just wanted to ask if you have 3 questions more. But if you still want to take those 3 questions, or if you want to end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we all are artists right here. But which other art form do you think you want up to try in addition to your current one?
Oh, there's so many. Definitely, 100%. I want to learn musical instruments, because I do think that there was reason why, like in the classical education, of like, let's say, ladies, there were certain things like it was languages, it was history, it was philosophy, it was necessary to play a musical instrument. Like to sing, and because I do think that this just helps you to understand different worlds, like how books are opening you doors to another universes. Music in itself is incredible. I don't know, sub universe, or it's bigger than us, and understand the rules of that universe to play a musical instrument, to be able to express your inner thoughts through the sounds. It's incredible. So I would say that just comes to my mind.
Yeah, probably it's talking to you after like 5 years down the line, you'll be just having this another hobby or profession. You never know. It's like
then I would say theater. Then getting back to the theater. Then trying to stage an opera. Then opening the startup. Then finding a new genius engineers and working on some new inventions that I really want to do. Then creating a new party and going to the politics, with like young, weird minds. That's also great. Then getting back into, just trying to figure out how NGO works and how you can work in like in the social work. I would suggest like everything.
That's great. I'll be standing in the crowd and then shouting, give it away.
I voted.
Yeah, I'll be with my beer in my hand, just like, I'm right here, right standing for you. But no, interesting. So, okay, the next one. Have you tried or want to try animation as a medium for your films?
Not yet. I really, really wanted. Right now, I'm developing a project which it's a feature film, but animation also plays important role because the lead, one of the leads, she's an artist and she draws and she animates as well. So I want to see how I'll be able to include that. I dream about making an animation film, because it again gives you such a interesting perspectives and freedom in terms of enacting and telling the stories and tackling the budget that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do in like live action. So it would be incredible. So if you know any good animators who want to collaborate, I'm here.
Yeah, guys, please go ahead and write to her if you have any thing you want to be a part of it. She gives like really good chances. I heard also that how you give activities to your interns, and if you really do good, then you can be a part of the amazing team. And obviously, you've seen all the videos, you've seen the films, and still waiting for the big one. But yeah, a lot of things. As an audience, I'll keep on pushing and asking, oh, what are the dates? What are the dates and stuff? But no, but interesting. Okay, so another one would be, do you still get no's before starting a new project?
Me? Yes, every time, every single time. My heart just beats faster, and no matter how big or small project is, no matter what's an ads, a music video, it's a feature film, it's just like my heart always beats faster. But because it happens so often, I know that it's a part of the procedure. I'm not getting stressed about it. I just know that I let it beat faster. I let myself to be nervous, because I guess it's a natural reaction to any kind of creation. So you just need to accept that and just to go with it.
It's interesting. Okay, I think we ended all the questions, and it was amazing talking to you. Amazing speaking. If you have any questions for us, like we would love to have things answered for you. If you have anything from us, like if you'd like to ask any questions.
I think just like last question that I'll ask you: what inspires you when you're in your dark times? Like, what gives you inspiration to create and hope that your art would be required by someone?
Can you come again with the question once more, please?
Like, what inspires you to create and what assures you that your art is needed by someone? I'll put it this way.
Yeah, probably the first one I would say is my parents. Like, I come from a business family, and it's not a usual lifestyle I live right now. Because my brother is an engineer. He's in the States. He's like engineer working hardware chips and all, making for Apple. And my sister, she's an MBA in finance. And I've always been the one who have no idea what to do in my life. Like, no, I took science in high school because I was following my brother's footsteps. I took economics in my undergrad because I was following my sister's footsteps. And my parents were like, okay, you're just going to join the business because we are like 300 people in the family, the cousins. And that's the first thing. And that's the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle for me to get accepted is in the front of them. And every morning, I usually wake up with that motivation that, okay, today I'll learn something and I'll make sure that I tell my parents about this. And it's just like a different feeling for me and for me to work as an artist. I mean, like I started with photography like 7 years ago, but in the last 2 years, I started feeling the meaning of art, meaning to express, meaning to just sometimes not work for money, but just to deliver what I feel like. If something is happening to me, I can just throw out my message and out. And plus, I've been a people's person, so I have a lot of friends. I keep on connecting with them, keep on asking their thing, and keep on interacting to know their lifestyle. And especially in Spain, Spain is my happy place. Like I take inspiration from Spanish videos, like Spanish people, and I usually, like in the morning, I used to hang out with a lot of old people, because in Spain it's a culture that you wake up and you don't go and have coffee, but you go and have beer in the morning.
Oh wow!
So I used to miss my classes for my masters, and used to just hang out with them just to practice my Spanish or take inspiration from them or what they're doing, and just to create and come up with a storyline. So every day it's a different thing, and as I keep on moving from one city to another city, you keep on meeting people. Like you said, sometimes you just need to meet different people of doing other than photography, other than taking pictures, other than writing, other than things. So it evolves and makes you feel that okay, no one is judging me, and plus I can express, I can do whatever I feel like. So my inspiration, again, to sum up, is first of all my parents again, and then I would say the people you meet during your daily life and activity. And plus, like, I enjoy, like, it is now, I don't feel there's any pressure for me to perform or to stuff. I mean, it's just like, it's a good feeling. I mean, with you coming online, trust me, I was a bit nervous, because I wanted to make sure that I know about you, because we haven't met, we haven't talked, we have no idea about how things were. But I wanted to make sure that I know how it feels when you picked up, when you took 37 days to get good friends with Namdev, or 7 people going on a trip, to knowing the activity you are performing, and just through videos, just through pictures, and just through all the articles and all. So that's what I feel.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, interesting. It's just like the best conversation, and we are so happy to start with you.
Thank
And
you so much
how
for
open
having
you
me. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and great. And we're
And
gonna
now
have
back to
Parv.
this.
Yeah, before that we have Parv. She's a first UK's female dhol player. I'm sure you
Oh
know the
wow.
dhol, right? The instrument dhol, right?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. So she is the first UK's female dhol player, and then we're gonna have her next in another 48 minutes. So do you have any questions for her? Like, if you want to ask any questions to her?
I'll write something. I'll think about it.
Awesome. Perfect. But it was great talking to you, and it was
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
I
it
really,
was
really
great.
enjoyed, and like it was inspiring.
That's great. And looking forward to work with you in the future.
Yes, same here.
Awesome. Perfect.
Bye.
Have a great night. Say hi to
Bye.
Kriti.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.